Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Glory Glory Man United podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Quinn. And joining me today for the first time since February, would you believe, is Brushy. How's it going, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, Carl, not too bad. It has been a while, isn't it? I think the international break probably contributed to that, why it's been so long.
Yeah, international break took 2 weeks out of the month of March.
Yeah.
And we are so thankful that the international break is over because yet another Man United defeat. Obviously, I was being sarcastic there. But there are some positives to take away from that game. It depends on what way you look at it. Okay, in isolation, Man United losing 1-0 to Nottingham Forest and Elanga scoring the winner seems like a disaster on paper. But having watched the game, you know, United were playing the team third in the league, away from home. United are the 13th. United dominated the possession and chances. I think United had 68% possession, Forest 32%. United had 24 shots, Forest had eight. United had 10 corners, and Forest had three. Now, if you'd have watched that entire game last night, you would be forgiven for thinking that Forest were the team that was 13th in the league. Now, I wouldn't say United looked like they were third in the league, but they certainly looked a lot better than 13th. So, what did you make of it, Rush?
Yeah, most definitely. I think there's definitely positives to take away from it. I don't think we deserve to lose. I don't particularly think we deserve to win either. I thought a draw would have been a fair result, to be honest. There was definitely signs of what he's trying to do, and I like what I'm seeing. It's just that we're utterly toothless in the final third. Unfortunately, we've discussed it before. That's a problem that I don't see us sorting out until the summer at the earliest. So it's one of those. Yeah, there was no clear-cut chances. Heroics at the end by Morello to deny us the equalizer. Yeah, yeah, Xerxes, like what can we say about Xerxes? I mean, there's elements to his game that are useful, but goals aren't one of them, unfortunately.
Yeah, and we're so rubbish up top that Maguire came on to play as an auxiliary centre forward at the end of the game.
I tell you what, yeah, I mean deja vu, isn't it? It was flashbacks to that Champions League game when Ten Hag threw him on. But I tell you what, it almost felt as if Harry went into autopilot because it was more like a clearance. That it was so
Yeah,
far away from goal that it looked like a clearance. And it's a shame as well because Dorgu, um, it was a brilliant cross in by Dorgu. It's just a shame that it wasn't a forward on the end of it.
yeah. I actually thought a defender had cleared it. That's how bad it was, you know.
Yeah,
Till,
it was
till,
so wide.
but then he nearly scored again, right with the last kick of the match, and was cleared off the
Yeah,
line, as you said.
yeah.
He couldn't get enough power on it because he was stretching
Hmm.
backwards to dig the ball out. But I thought Maguire was more threatening than Xerxes or Hoyland in the minutes that they
And
played in the game.
that's a damning indictment of our attack.
Almost couldn't believe it. I was watching Maguire running the channels, coming short,
Yeah.
go long, laying the ball off. It's like, what am I watching here? So fair play to him. He almost equalised. Um, he was unlucky with the second chance that he had. He should have scored with the first one, like he should have scored the winner at Anfield as well. But
Yeah.
he was causing them problems. We were getting balls into the box and they didn't know how to handle them. It was almost like a throwback to the days of bringing Fellaini on to wreak havoc
Yeah, yeah.
at the end
Yeah,
of
about the
games.
only thing I didn't like, I would say it was just getting caught out on the counter. It was almost as if at times, like, them conceding a corner was their tactic and starting an attack. The way we were getting ran at was crazy.
That is textbook Nottingham Forest.
Yeah.
They tend to soak up pressure and then play on the counter attack.
Mhm.
And I thought we would have worked on this in training. But what do we do?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
concede a counter attack goal after five
Hmm.
minutes.
I was very impressed with Lenny Euro. Just his timing of challenges and for a young man, in this league, I thought he did pretty well. Um, the Elanga goal, I mean, blistering pace and that it just had to be him, didn't it? Um, yeah, absolute calamity, like because there's a lot of things that can be done before he gets the shot off, and then when the shot is off, against the Nana, what do we expect? It's like he dives for the sake of diving. It just there's no real conviction in it. Um, a better goalkeeper would have got to that, I think.
Yeah, and he leaves a big gap for Alanga to shoot into as well. He
Yeah,
doesn't.
exactly. And then he dives and doesn't even because when you see the replay back of the dive, he doesn't really. There's no coverage, you know.
I know we actually conceded the exact same goal against Nottingham Forest last season at Old Trafford.
Hmm.
A breakaway from their own half on a ball that's just rolled past Onana. I think it was Awanya who scored the goal at Old Trafford last season. Yeah, and it was almost an exact replica of what we saw last night, which is really, really poor from United's point of view and Onana's point of view. But as I said, a lot happened before we got to that point. Garnacho doing his best Casemiro impression by not getting the man or
Yeah.
the ball with his sliding challenge. And then I thought Dorgu should have done better. He didn't seem to
Yeah.
be able to keep up with the play. Was he
Hmm.
afraid to make a challenge because of his suspension in the Ipswich game? That's kept him out of three Premier League games. Maybe we didn't want to risk another red card. Although Mazarahi was a covering defender. He obviously was trying to keep an eye on the other Forest attacker, and
Yep.
he didn't want to leave him too much
Yeah,
space.
yeah,
And
because there was the dummy run, wasn't there? And then the way the break happened, you thought he was going to square it, but then, space opened up and he went all the way.
it doesn't have to be a hard shot or a powerful shot to beat
No,
Onana.
no, no, you just need to put it on target.
Although he did make a good save in the second half, Onana, to be fair to
Yeah.
him, but the errors are far too frequent, and he's too
It's
easily
yeah,
beaten.
it's too much, isn't it? Unfortunately, with our budget and stuff, I don't see it being addressed this summer either. I think he'll probably buy himself one more year, but next in the next season, yeah, surely there's got to be a change.
I would rather play Bay and Deer all of next season than continue with this. This is appalling. Uh,
Hmm.
we if we can get a James Trafford or something in on the cheap, then happy days because I cannot put up with this for another
Yeah,
year right
he's
now.
having a stellar year in the championship.
Mm.
But to my knowledge, Man City have a buyback clause of about 20 million, so that one's quite difficult, I think. Especially because Edison might be nearing the end of his time, and Stefan Ortega will probably want to move on, and they keep rotating keepers, don't they? I could see them bringing James Trafford back as the number two.
They can get stuffed.
Yeah.
We're in more dire need of a goalkeeper than them. So yeah, United just everything but the finish last night, and then obviously giving away a cheap goal. But
Hmm.
I know it seems strange to say, but you can because of that we're playing a team 10 positions above us to actually play that well is almost positive, even though yet again we have failed to win back-to-back games in the Premier League this season. We still have not achieved that, which is
I'll tell you what,
appalling.
Carl. Even in the week before the international break, I was actually pleasantly surprised by us in the three games that led up to the break. Against Arsenal, I thought we were quite unlucky not to win that, and then the two other games as well. I'm starting to see what he's working on. Um, I just think he's restricted by the personnel.
Yeah, of course, especially up front and the
Yeah.
goalkeeper. But one thing I didn't agree with last night was playing Xerxes up front. I thought we'd seen the
Yeah.
last of that.
Hmm.
He obviously is a lot better playing deeper. He's put in some really good displays playing,
Hmm.
four behind the striker. Real Sociedad game comes to mind. But why was he used as a striker last night? Because the last time he was used as a striker, it didn't work out. And last night, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand that move. Hoyland had scored against Leicester. He had scored for Denmark against Portugal. I thought
Hmm.
now was the right time to start him in the
Yeah.
Premier League and not leave him out. And I didn't understand that. And then obviously having to bring on Maguire to play alongside Hoyland up front. The Xerxes experiment didn't work. He's not a number nine, and he never will be, Brush.
No, no. Yeah, like I said, for me, like to get the best out of Xerxes, you almost have to use him like Klopp did Firmino, but that's not how we're set up. So you have to completely change style and system. And I'm still not convinced that he's best suited to this league, if I'm being totally honest. I don't think he's a bad player by any means. I think he has his qualities. Um, but yeah, is this what we need? I'm not so sure.
Yeah, he's a good player and he'll have a good career, but he's just not what we
Yeah.
need right now.
Yeah,
Being
that's the
honest.
thing. And then unfortunately, Thiago Motta's got the sack at Juventus, who, was a big, big fan of his. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what happens in the summer. Um, because there's so many other things that need tending to, I can see a situation in which he stays for another year. Um, but yeah, we definitely need firepower so, so desperately.
Oh, like you wouldn't believe. Um,
Hmm.
I thought our worst player on the night was Alejandro Garnacho. I thought he had
Very selfish.
an absolute stinker.
Yeah, yeah, just very selfish, isn't he? Just likes to hog the ball, wrong decision making. Um,
Yes,
Again, if we had alternatives, I'm pretty sure he would be dropped. But then we haven't really got too many options.
he played the whole game and he didn't deserve to play the
Hmm.
whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
If he had an option on the bench, we did. The point that I made last night is that we don't have a
Hmm.
like for like replacement on the bench because
No, no, not at all. And that's the thing. And then obviously with this manager as well, we know he's kind of married to his system and formation and stuff. So he'll only tweak things slightly within that uh, framework, and he won't just switch it up completely.
well,
Um,
somebody did a freeze frame of what
hmm.
United's, you know, what it looked like on the pitch whenever Maguire came on. What
Yeah.
United's setup looked like, and it looked like a 4-4-2 to be honest. So he will make exceptions. So nobody's going to tell me that
Mm.
Maguire was playing as one of the tens. There's no way that was the case. Um, but yeah, Garnacho, somebody pointed out that he never passes the ball to Dorgu. When
Yeah.
Garnacho is running at the defense
Hmm.
and he's got uh, Dorgu's making a run on the outside of him, doesn't play him in. He just uses him as a decoy rather than passing it to him. And that's I'm sure he's bound to have passed it to him last night at least once, but
Yeah.
it doesn't feel like it. And it's
No.
yeah,
And Dorgu as well, like overall, I thought he had a quiet game. Obviously, the little cross at the end to Maguire was the redeeming quality. And it's kind of nice that he's got that in him. I've actually been pleasantly surprised with him overall because I think he's a very, very raw talent. And I couldn't really make sense of him by the few games I saw at Lecce because obviously they were near the bottom of the table and they were getting spanked every week. Um, but also, this isn't a position that he played for them. He never was really utilized as a left wing back. So yeah, I had a lot of question marks around him. And for a young man to come in, I think he's taken to it better than I thought he would.
yeah, and yeah, Garnacho he cuts in a lot and tries to shoot, and his shooting
Hmm.
is woeful. So whenever
Yeah.
it, it, last night, whenever he beats a man he gets his shot away, I'm not even I don't even move out of my seat. I'm not remotely
Hmm.
excited because I don't expect him to hit the target. And yeah, he had shots that were last night. I don't know why it was going in or not, and then he had shots that were just completely wayward, and those are typical. It is really, really frustrating at the moment. I thought that after not playing for Argentina, he'd be fresh, raring to go. But maybe he's had the opposite effect. He actually looked rusty more than anything. And
Yeah.
some people are saying now that if they were given the opportunity to swap him for Osimhen in the summer, they would do so. Now, I did sometimes after a performance like that, immediately after the game, in frustration, I can join that club and say, you know what, we're offered Osimhen tomorrow,
Hmm.
and Garnacho goes the opposite way. I'm taking that, but all it takes is him to have one good performance again, and you're like, oh, I'm not sure with Sal Garnacho now. He's still a young player. We have to be patient. So where do you sit? Where do
Yeah.
you sit on that?
Somewhere in between, to be honest. Obviously, homegrown and that, and I do give those players a little bit more leeway. Ultimately, it's all for the betterment of the team. So, if there's something better out there, if sacrificing him means that we improve overall as a team, then I'm all for it. So that's where I stand.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, especially given
Yeah.
Jim Ratcliffe's desire for pure
Hmm.
profit in the
And
summer.
yeah, the price has to be right as well. So yeah, but I wouldn't like to make a habit of it though. Especially our young players that come through the academy. I'd In an ideal world, I'd prefer we build around them. But even just having them in the squad is a good thing. even if you're a squad player. But I think it's important to keep that touch with the local lads that come through. But yeah, um, that one it might be for the betterment of the team if you were to move on if the price was right.
I tell you what I wouldn't like to see is for
Mm.
both Garnacho and Kobe Manu to be sold in the summer.
Oh yeah, yeah. If you get rid of both of them, that's you're ripping the soul out of the club, really.
Yeah, yeah, you just become Chelsea then, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. Because there's so much to talk about now, Carl. Because obviously in the last couple of weeks we've seen the unveiling of the new plans for the stadium. I don't know about you, but it looked like a fancy Butlins the first time I saw it. They want to create Disney World, don't they?
Yes, yes, yes. That's we'll maybe touch on that a wee bit later, but
Yeah.
yes, yes, Dorgu. I thought he was exceptional in the Real Sociedad game.
Hmm.
But I suppose last night was a reminder that he is still raw and still developing, and
Yeah.
have to be patient. But even with that in mind, I still think he should do better for Alanko's goal. Yeah, he didn't seem to be able to keep up with the play, or either that, he was just afraid to make a challenge because of the previous red card and didn't want to get suspended
Yeah.
again. Um, but yeah, overall, yeah, he has been good. For a player who's just come in from Lecce and, as you say, has not been playing left wing back for that
No.
club in Italy. So yeah, he has been a positive addition, and so was Aiden Haven, by the way, who's
Oh,
injured.
fantastic addition. He's been again, that's one that took me by surprise. I didn't think he would take as well as he did to the chances that were given, and it's just so unfortunate. And just our luck as well that he got injured.
Yeah, it's just so typical.
Yeah.
I thought that whenever I heard at the end of January that he was going to be a first team signing for United,
Mm.
I thought, yeah, right, he's just going to be on the bench a lot and he's not going to get many minutes. How wrong was I? He,
Yeah, definitely. And then yeah, the kid's got something about him. Looks very assured for his age. Even when he makes mistakes as well, he's shown that he can correct them as well, which is also a good sign.
yeah, yeah, actually looking forward to him coming back into the team.
Yeah.
Him and Yarrow have been fantastic additions at such a young age.
Yeah, yeah, and it's quite exciting as well when you look at the age as well. The age profile is important. So, with Johnny Evans and Lindelof going, Heaven answers part of the problem. You still need another one in, obviously. Hopefully a left-sided centre back.
And as you said, um, Dorgu made another crucial, or not Dorgu, Yarrow made another crucial
Hmm.
intervention last night with another sliding challenge, last ditch. Uh,
Yeah.
and he gets the ball, and when he absolutely had to, it's become this trademark of that tackle.
Yeah,
Um,
isn't it? That's it's great to see as well. Like, because there's always uproar from the fans when he slides in, but yeah, the timing is perfect.
yeah, it's almost Wan-Bissaka-esque.
Yeah,
But
yeah, but without the scoop tackle, like his
yeah,
actually just seems really assuring the way he does it. It's such a quite a unique quality to have at that young age as well, because that's part of the game that I usually expect a centre back to develop, later on in their career.
yeah, because they're probably coached to stay on their
Hmm.
feet. So
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
So and obviously he's not done growing either. So when he puts a bit of size and strength on as well, what a player he could turn out to be.
Another thing that I'm slightly concerned about at the moment, right? Bruno has been in sensational form for United. Where will we be without him? But we need to stop changing his position all the time from
Yeah,
game to game. We're just play him in one position all the time. I'm just getting fed up with this now. Once he's playing in the deep role alongside the number six, or else he's playing at one of the tens. He could
mm.
be left, he could be right. You just don't. He could be a
He's
false
just
number nine.
yeah, we're running him into the ground. He's
Mm.
just everywhere, isn't he? But yeah, credit to him. Like yeah, he's been sensational. Just before the break and that. Obviously, I thought overall he had a poor game against Forest, but I'm not going to hold that against him. He's been doing so much for us, and even then he had one or two shots. It was a bit
Yeah,
unfortunate.
he nearly gave us the lead very early in the game.
Yeah, yeah,
Shot was saved by the
yeah, and it'll be
keeper,
harsh to judge him just on that, like 'cause at least he's trying, which which is more than what can be said for our forward line.
and he had a header that he should have done better with as
Hmm.
well. uh, in the first
There
half.
was one or two headers actually. We had the Dallo one as well. Could have gone anywhere.
Yeah, hit the crossbar, and then Delic's follow up was really
Yeah.
weak. It was weak. That
Hmm.
was feeble. Uh, but you know what? I'm going to say something I thought I would never say. I, I actually think United's best player last night was Dallo.
Hmm.
And it wasn't a high bar, mind you, but yeah, I think he might have just shaded it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. For me, I think the one that stood out to me was Euro really. But I think it could be the show-stopping tackles that sticks in my mind.
Yeah, but Dallo had some good crosses as well.
Yeah, yeah.
I know obviously nearly scored,
Hmm.
but yeah, it wasn't a particularly. I know United, had more possession and chances than Forest, but I don't think any United player was outstanding last night.
Hmm.
Despite that, uh, Casemiro
Ah,
played. He had to come off because he got booked, and that was a
yeah.
sensible decision. Ugarte came off at half time. I thought I, I I just didn't notice him in the first half. I noticed Casemiro in the first
Hmm.
half, but I didn't notice Ugarte at all. I don't think he was having any impact on the game, and the
No.
manager took him off and brought on Rasmus Højlund at halftime.
Hmm.
Yeah, so I think there has been a bit of a dip from Ugarte, and unfortunately, he also has been getting abuse online from so-called United fans too. Just after the international break there, which I didn't understand.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, players in their
For
first,
me, I think the problem with that some fans find with Ugarte is that they misprofile the kind of player he is.
yeah,
So they get mad at him for the things he can't do, but those are things that he could never do in the first place. So I don't really fault him for that.
yeah, he is a destroyer. That's his
Yeah,
game.
yeah, he's an old fashioned DM. There's not much else to his game. He breaks up play, he gets in, and that's his game. Like he's not gonna take the ball and start marauding runs forward and do the Xavi type passes. That's not his game.
And that goal against Everton, don't expect to see that too often,
Hmm.
from
I mean that
Ugarte.
was a surprise when it happened.
Yeah.
We couldn't quite believe it. Didn't know he had that in his locker.
Although to be fair, even though he's limited at this level in terms of
Hmm.
his attacking qualities, someone who's reached that level should still be able to score a goal with a volley
Yeah.
with their left foot. You
Hmm.
know, if Maguire was playing in Division Three, he'd be a striker.
Mm.
Once you've reached that level, you're capable of things like that. But obviously, we shouldn't expect it too often.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I think there has been a bit of a drop off from him. It doesn't deserve the abuse though, but that's just
No.
typical of people online.
Yeah.
Um,
They're so reactionary, aren't they? It's one of those.
yeah, and they're just people, just trolls. You can't be taken seriously.
Hmm.
Unfortunately, social media has given these people a voice. Chris, you has told me several times about the first United game that he went to was in 2003 against FC Ball, and Kieran Richardson and Darren Fletcher were making their debuts in that game,
Hmm.
and they were getting dogs abuse from the crowd, and they were only
That's
making their
insane.
debuts.
That's insane.
So unfortunately, social media is giving people like that an even louder voice,
Hmm.
and they can directly get at players even on non-match days, just for
Yeah.
posting something online. It's just absurd. I just don't understand people like that. They don't have anything in common with me. So
Yeah, that's the thing. That's why I don't blame a lot of these players as well. And I'm sure a lot of them, they have their pages and stuff run for them. Lord help them if they actually do it themselves or have a look online. You probably need therapy.
I know that's why they probably have social media managers who
Hmm.
deal with all that, and they don't even check it probably most of the time. Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, there was positives and negatives from last night. Obviously, the negative is the results and the fact that we couldn't finish, and the amateur league goal that we give away. But
Hmm.
being able to dominate a game like that against a team third in the league is pretty good going. Uh, I suppose it shows you exactly where we are, that we're actually taking positives from a defeat. But
Yeah.
I think we have to, in the
Hmm.
current circumstances. And we must
Absolutely.
remember for large spells at Anfield, we played Liverpool, which nobody expected either. So
Hmm.
we didn't get the result last night, but we have been doing well under Amorim against the teams in the top four or top
Yeah, that's
five.
the thing. For me, like I'm just looking at the positives. The signs are there of what he's trying to do, and I like what I'm seeing. I just think he's doing it with one hand tied behind his back, regarding the personnel. So when those changes happen, we'll have to really assess it. So I can't really say anything probably until the end of next season. Like if we're where we are now at this time next year, then questions have to be asked. But until that point, we just have to see how it goes.
Yeah, if we have a really good summer transfer window,
Yeah.
then Amorim gets a lot of the players that he needs to fit his system,
Hmm.
we should be expecting to be top six next season. That would be my expectations anyway.
Even then, I mean, it depending on the incomings and how many, it's still going to take time to gel. So, I'm not expecting them to hit the ground running even after a good window. It will take time. I certainly expect us to be in the top half of the table and better than we're doing now. But you just have to look at our league. There's so much competition. Like even last season, for that final Champions League spot, I think there was about five teams fighting it out for that fourth place, with a total of 8 points between all of them. So that's the levels of competition. And even this season, I mean, look at it, like Chelsea, Man City fighting it out for fourth and fifth, and then you got Newcastle in there now, and all the other teams that we wouldn't really usually associate as well. The Aston Villas, the Brightons, they're all doing well. So yeah.
Yeah,
um,
but we have to be in the conversation. We can't be in the bottom half of the league.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Top half of the table is should definitely be the goal next season.
It's bad that you're even saying that. Top half is the goal.
I mean, you got to start somewhere, right?
Yeah, the only way is up, as the
Yeah, yeah.
song
Like
goes.
this season now, for me, the league, it's pretty much a write-off, isn't it? Like we're just looking to see some positives and what we're working towards, and then all the eggs are in the Europa League basket, and even that one, I don't really know how we're gonna get there. Athletic Bilbao, I think, are probably one of the strongest teams in it. But that's, I'm counting my chickens here. Got to
Oh,
get past Leon first.
yeah. After seeing and after another reminder of how hard it is for us to score goals, I don't even want to think
Hmm.
beyond Leon, to be honest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So yeah, it's one of those. You just don't know where the next goal's coming from, and you can't keep relying on Bruno. And he's done brilliant, but he can't be the main goal threat all the time.
Well,
It's got to be shared out.
one thing that might help us, and it's a huge might because it depends on fitness,
Mm.
and that was the return of Mason Mount last night. And
Oh, I tell you what, he would have wrote the headlines had he scored that chance that he had. He was so, so close.
yeah, I thought it was in.
Yeah,
It was just too good to be true, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah. It was a lovely shot as well. See, again, this is what frustrates me about Mason Mount because he just needs to stay fit, doesn't he? Because you see the difference he makes.
And
You
Amorim,
see, yeah,
Amorim has used the word love to describe him on more than
yeah,
one
yeah.
occasion.
Honestly, on paper, he's built for this team, but he just needs to prove that he can stay fit because he's had an atrocious time.
If he could even stay fit to the end of May, that would be progress on what we've seen so
Yeah.
far in terms of his
Yeah, yeah,
fitness.
that's the thing. And he's another one. He's coming for a lot of abuse, people yelling, sell him and stuff. But then honestly, even if you were to sell, like if he can't prove his fitness, who's gonna come in for him?
Hmm. Same with Shaw.
Yeah,
We,
yeah.
you can't sell players that are never fit.
Yeah. With that one, I've kind of just accepted it now. He's gonna run his contract down. He's just here till that's done. It's a Phil Jones situation with sure.
Yeah,
I've completely given up all hope of him,
whenever
doing anything.
somebody has played so little football, he hasn't started a game since February 24. Whenever
Yeah,
you have a player like that on your books, he's
yeah.
unsellable. He's unsellable.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, nobody's going to take a punt on him. And even if you were to like loan him out or whatever, you'd have to cover the vast majority of the wages. So it's kind of
Hmm.
pointless.
and he's supposedly on the way back as well, according to the manager. So,
Mm,
should
yeah,
expect
it's
to
not
see
what.
him.
Yeah, I'm not holding my breath on that one.
And even if he does come back, it'd likely be as a substitute left centre half.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
way I see it going.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. Because that's what I was thinking anyway. To be honest, because I don't think he can play wing back now because the strain on his legs. So left
no,
centre back would probably be the position.
yeah. I mean, if you want to ensure that he gets injured again, play him at left
Mm.
wing back. So it was okay performance away from home against one of the top teams, but ultimately we didn't get the result. So we have to move on now
Yep.
to Manchester City at home. Erling Haaland is out of the game.
Mm.
Hooray! And gives us a chance. And they are still a shadow of what they used to be. We won at the Etihad. We beat them in the FA Cup last
Yep.
season. So let's make it three in a row and win at Old Trafford and you know gain the bragging rights of Manchester once again. It wouldn't surprise me if United go and win this game now against Manchester City. I think I said this last week, even before the Forest game. I didn't know what was going to happen at Forest, but I am quietly confident that we'll beat Man City at home.
I tell you what, they're not in great form. I think we've taken more points in the last five than they have. They've lost two, won two, drawn one, whereas this was our first defeat in the last five.
Yeah, and they're relying on a youngster called O'Reilly to beat Bournemouth at the weekend as well.
Yeah, I tell you what, he
Yeah.
did come in clutch though with those assists. He
hmm
put it on a plate for Haaland.
Yeah, this is not a formidable Manchester City team, as we found out in
Yeah.
December. Just a pity
I
we
do
don't.
still worry though, Carl. Like obviously, on the break and that they can hurt teams, especially after seeing what Elanga done. I'm thinking, the pace of a Jeremy Doku, Omar Mamouche, I've been quite impressed with. I don't think he's a main striker. I see him more as like a little 10 that buzzes around. But he's got something about him. So we got to be, we got to bring our A game. And it's unfortunate that Ahmad's out as well. I know I've heard that he's coming back, but I'd rather not rush him to be honest. Um, I want him to fully recover, and instead of us rushing him back and further aggravating the injury. I know in social media people were raving about it yesterday because they see Bukayo Saka come back and he scored as well, and they're like, "Oh yeah, bring Ahmad back."
Well, what I've read is they're definitely not going to rush him back.
Hmm.
Uh, it's going to be May at the earliest before we see him again.
That's good. That's good. Yeah, they shouldn't rush him. There's no point really in doing that. And then if you do have a player like him, even on the bench, you're going to be tempted to chuck him on because he's a difference maker. Probably the brightest spark that we've seen under Amarim.
It would be wonderful to have him for a potential Europa League semi-final. Two legs.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. It would be nice.
and that's what I'm going to ask you. Do you now think another reminder last night of how poor we have been in the league was that 6 wins under Amorim in the league since he took
Hmm.
over in November, which is really poor.
Yeah.
Do you think now the Europa League has to be the priority?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. As soon as
On
I mean, I thought we were set up more as a cup team anyway this season from the beginning of the season. Obviously, I didn't
on
fathom it would be this bad in the league. But again, it's kind of on Ineos's decision making, isn't it? Like you knew what you were getting with Amarim. You knew you interviewed him. You knew the style of football and whatnot. So yeah, there's been teething issues. But yeah, I don't expect any of those to be really corrected till the summer.
because
And another thing we missed in the last couple of weeks as well, we might have to speak about it at the end. Sir Jim's interview with Gary Neville. Thought that was quite interesting.
we're not going to finish in the top half,
Yeah,
so we had to put all our eggs in the Europa League basket.
absolutely. Like I don't even mind if they rotate in the league. Like it has
Yeah,
to be Europa.
for example, in between the two Leon games, we have
Yeah,
Newcastle away. Do
I
United?
would I would rest all our senior players for that
Yeah,
Newcastle game. I'll be honest.
yeah. So you would play an entire weekend
Yeah,
11 in that game.
yeah, 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 yeah. I would prioritize the Leon game. Like if we had the squad, absolutely we should be out there trying to win everything. But Newcastle comes on Sunday and then on the 13th, and then on the 17th it's Lyon. There's just not enough time.
Yeah, and I do recall whenever we won the Europa League under Jose Mourinho, we even had an in between. I think the two. I think it might have been in between the two
Mm,
semi-final legs with Celta Vigo. We had Arsenal at the Emirates, and he played an entirely rotated 11 in that game and just chucked it.
yeah, yeah,
So
because yeah, I'm looking at the dates now as well. It's ridiculous. So yeah, 6th of April, City. Yeah, 4 days later on Thursday, it's Lyon. 3 days after that comes Newcastle. And then on the 17th, a week later, it's Lyon, the second leg. So yeah, that Newcastle game, you really have to rotate. You have to look after whoever you think your best players are. You got to rest them.
yeah, we're not going to be relegated, and
Yeah,
we've how many league games have we got left? We have got um,
10.
10 league games left, and we not 10. What are we talking about?
No, we've got 8. We've got
Eight.
8. It's because some teams have are still on 28 and 29. Yeah, no, we've got 8 games left.
So we've 8 league games
Yeah.
on potentially 5 Europa League games if we
Hmm.
get to the final. Those
Yeah.
5 Europa League games are everything for us, and these 8 league matches are almost just they don't matter. So
Yeah. Pretty
I,
much.
I agree that our first 11 has to play Lyon, and we have to at least leave out 5 or 6 players against Newcastle. That because that game
Hmm.
means nothing because
Yeah.
even if we win, it's not going to get us any closer to the European spots in the league.
No,
So
it's not. Absolutely not. I mean, unless something happens in the first leg where, we completely blow them away, that's the only time that maybe I'd consider, going for a stronger team against Newcastle because they are a great team as well. So it is risky. You don't want to get embarrassed, right? So it's one of those. But yeah, I would rotate.
but even if we get embarrassed, you can easily just say, well, it wasn't our first
Hmm.
11 anyway. So you know,
Yeah,
you don't want to lose any football matches. You don't want to
no,
give away any football matches,
hmm
but we have to prioritize because we don't have the squad, to
absolutely.
prioritize both competitions.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's the thing.
And Mourinho did it to great success, so I don't see why not. Um, so I I loathe to do player ratings after a game like that, which we didn't win. Yeah, it's not a very exciting thing to do, so maybe I'll just skip it on this occasion.
Hmm.
It's all going to be like fours, fives, and sixes anyway.
4s and 5s, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, really.
Um. So you wanted to talk about the circus tent, and what do you make of it?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, it's the way football's going, isn't it? So I suppose it was inevitable in a way. Yeah. The designs initially, like, yeah, I saw the little 3 pillars and all of that, and yeah, it looked like a glorified Butlins. The full plans, I can't lie, it does look decent, but yeah, it just gave me Disney World vibes. It just we're going down, fully into this marketing thing where they want to make it a tourist attraction, don't they? Let's be real. It's going to be one of those.
Yeah, he already says that he wants it to be like the Eiffel Tower.
Yeah, yeah, and 100,000 seater stadium as well. So they're planning like future WrestleManias and Taylor Swift concerts. That's what they're going for.
Yeah, I was going to say Oasis, but that's not going to happen given their allegiances to Manchester City. Yeah, Champions League finals and whatever else they can stage there. Um,
Yeah.
the we already hosted the Rugby League Grand Final. I think
Hmm.
we have done.
It's going to be an all-purpose stadium, isn't it? It's going to be like Tottenham's but better. So it's going to be one of those.
It's going to be like having the new camp in Manchester. That's mad to think about, isn't
Yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah. Pretty much, pretty much. The time frame on it, I don't know. I don't know if it's achievable in like the 5 years they think it can be. But yeah,
It's it's yeah. I'm not 100% convinced that it's going to turn out the way that it looks now in the pla
yeah.
in the
I mean,
plans.
yeah. Initially, I was taken aback by the pillars and that. I was like, oh, who designed this?
It doesn't really fit in with Manchester, that design. I mean, it looks like
No.
something that you would see in Saudi Arabia or Qatar for a
Yeah,
World Cup. You know that.
yeah, it does, doesn't it? It's very
Mhm.
grandiose. Yeah, I think I'm just old fashioned, to be honest. I prefer stadiums that look like stadiums.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if eventually that's
Yeah,
the way it turns out. It looks more like
yeah,
a
yeah.
stadium.
But when I look around, like some of the newer stadiums, they are quite unique, aren't they? Like I was thinking of the Alliance when Bayern moved, because it's a totally different kind of dome kind of thing
But
compared to what they used to have.
yeah, I can only imagine how expensive it's going to get as well for this.
Yeah, that's the other thing as well, isn't it? So yeah, the finances, it never stays in budget, these kind of things. Um, once the work starts, costs will escalate.
And not just that, the price of the tickets once it is built
Hmm.
is going to be probably a lot more than what we're used to.
Yep, yep. And then that brings us on nicely to Sir Jim's sit down with Gary Neville.
And Dan Rowan of the BBC as well, on the same
Yeah.
day.
Hmm.
So what was your takeaway from that interview?
With the Gary one, do you know, I liked it. I liked it because, well, first of all, we always complain that, the owners and people don't come out and speak to us and whatnot. But then now that he's given interviews, there's a lot of hate and a lot of comments as well. I'm just happy that he's, actually at least coming out and addressing us. It's more than the Glazers ever did. Um, so it was quite interesting to see his thought process. Some of which were in line with what I thought was happening anyway. Like we've sat here and discussed, where I think they've kind of approached it like a club going into administration, where you get auditors in and they just strip everything down to the bare bones. And I do think that's what's happening. Um, Obviously, the one comment that got blown up was, when Gary made a suggestion and he said, well, that wasn't suggested to me. That's something that we could have considered. Because obviously he's just got business people in there, right? And they're not thinking with any kind of emotional attachment to the club. So they're obviously going to just look at the maximum cost efficiency
Yeah,
for
it
things.
it was about h- holding a dinner and having Maguire and
Hmm.
Fernandez as guests,
Yeah, yeah,
and to raise £40,000
yeah,
for
yeah.
the former players fund.
Hmm.
Do you know, players that used to play for United in the 70s and 80s
Yeah,
don't have the kind
yeah,
of money of the Premier League stars.
yeah.
So,
Absolutely not. Yeah.
and
So yeah, see, ideas like that are good, but at the same time, the way Gary put it across, I think it's very simplistic, isn't it? I think on paper it's very easy to do those kind of things or to say those kind of things, but there's a lot more that goes into it. Like it's a very busy season. You need to hosting a charity dinner and that you need to you need to speak to the players first, see if they're interested in actually doing it. You know, there's a lot of other things to take into consideration. But again, like Sir Jim said, it wasn't suggested to him probably because that wasn't their intent. Their intent at this moment in time is just to strip down everything that isn't a
and
necessity.
do you agree with 400 people losing their jobs at Old Trafford?
I don't agree with anyone losing their jobs, but at the same time, they're doing it across board, aren't they? So it would only concern me if this trend were to continue without ever coming to a halt. Um, if the plan is to stabilize and then to slowly rebuild and reestablish these things, which is what I want to happen, then I think it's totally fine.
Yeah, and
Um,
I thought that it was a bit contradictory of him to
mm.
say that we're going to run out of money by the end of the year,
Yeah, I wanted to address that
but
part.
but
That
but
yeah,
but we're
that
going to be the most profitable club in the world by 2028.
yeah. I think that was a bit exaggerated. The fact that we were going to run out of money by X date, because you just have to look at our summer spending. You know, if it was that bad, surely you wouldn't have went out and spent the money you did in the summer. So it's one of those ones. But I understand where he's coming from. Obviously, we've been badly run for so many years. Something's got to give. You got to try and address that. And I like that they're getting around to that now.
I hope it works out well under Ineos's ownership or
Mm,
part ownership, but I'm not 100% convinced that it will.
yeah,
Um,
I thought it was kind of funny as well when he made the cheeky comment that if it doesn't work out, then he'll sell to the Saudis.
um, yeah, because their ventures in the sport haven't really gone that well to
No,
date.
yeah, but then I can't really judge it based on like Nice because we're a different juggernaut altogether.
Yeah, to be honest, if we are successful under this regime, it's not going to be
Yeah.
because of Jim Radcliffe or
Hmm.
Dave Brailsford. It's going to be because of Jason Wilcox and Christopher Vival and people like that,
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
and
Those are the
Amorim,
people
of
putting
course.
it. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so even if we do ended up winning the treble, Jim Ratcliffe is still going to get no plaudits from the fans, and he knows it. He's not. He's certainly not used to this kind of attention and criticism that came
Well,
across
oh
in the
no,
interview as well.
absolutely. He addressed that, didn't he? He said he wasn't quite prepared for the amount of hate and you know all the talk.
I think it was that. Was that Fulham where he thought fans. He was so naive. He thought these
Hmm.
fans crowding around his car wanted an autograph or a photo. They were looking to abuse him, and he had to quickly roll the window back up again.
uh yeah, yeah, it's quite dangerous out there for these guys because you remember the incident when people pulled up at Ed Woodward's house.
That's
As
too. That's well too far, in my
yeah,
opinion.
yeah. Like, listen, he's absolutely incompetent. Like, I've yelled at him over the years, but yeah, you can't just pull up to people's houses, scaring their families, and that. It's never that serious.
No, I mean, especially when he has like young kids and a wife and
Yeah,
all.
absolutely. It's horrible. You don't want to see that. And this is the thing that we got to understand as well. Like, yeah, sure enough, like, we can call out incompetence and all of that, but it's not like they're intentionally making bad decisions. Like, these people who are entrusted, they wholeheartedly believe that the things they're doing is for the betterment of the club. Even if it's not from our perspective.
Yeah, I agree with the fact that he brought up the fact that the club has uh, a body language expert that they're
Hmm.
paying 175,000 a year
That
for.
was ridiculous. When I read about that, I was like, what?
I agree with getting rid of that job.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
totally unnecessary. It's a waste of money. But
yeah,
what he wasn't telling us about is that the people that have been in the club for 30 years being kicked out.
yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah.
you
But
know,
again, it's across board, isn't it? So that's why I can't complain too much at this stage. And again, it's if it's with the view of building back up again, then yeah, short-term suffering, I guess, a long-term benefit. But yeah, it absolutely sucks for those people who are losing their jobs and that. And then obviously the papers they highlight things like, there's no free food in the canteen no more and things like that. Well, those aren't necessities. So,
imagine a club the size of Man United is now
yeah.
providing an apple and an orange for people at lunchtime. Like, I mean, yeah, I think Radcliffe said that. No, I've never had a free lunch in my career.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, it's unbelievable. But to actually say that the players can have a nice gourmet meal, but
Mm,
even the coaches and the other staff can only have soup and sandwiches. But then,
yeah.
I think it was a pundit who said that the easy way around that is for the players to refuse to accept that and say
Hmm.
either everybody eats a nice meal or nobody
Yeah.
does,
Yeah, yeah.
and then they have to put the hot meals back on again for the rest of the stuff.
Hmm.
Because how can the players sit there alongside the coaches
Yeah.
eating a nice steak or a nice chicken pasta while he's having a
Uh,
wee bit of vegetable broth
yeah,
and a
it's
roll?
yeah, yeah. In theory, I agree. Like it should be the same for everyone. But with players, though, I guess it's a little bit different because their dietary requirements are different. You know, so in this day and age, I don't know. I feel like with players, they have tailor-made diets, don't they? So their needs are probably,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
have to be adjusted to that. So it doesn't have to be like gourmet and stuff, but obviously theirs will be like, high in protein, low in carbs and stuff, and it'll be a whole different plate to what a coach or somebody else would have.
Yeah, but imagine Bruno Fernandes is tucking into his chicken pasta while Amorim is having vegetable broth on a wee roll, you know. Is that what we've come to? Is that what Man United's come to now? It's absurd.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Radcliffe's cuts are
hmm
draconian. Uh,
Yeah. But I think it's a necessary evil at this stage. Like I say, I'll only really judge it if it continues and it stays that way.
and
We'll have to
and
see what happens if we get to a place where we can stabilize, and then we'll see if it starts building back up.
and the ticket prices have gone up 5%. The
Yes,
the, the season tickets.
yeah. And listen, you're
But
absolutely right. When that new stadium hits, yeah, I expect all the ticket prices to go through the roof.
yeah, I think they're going to be smart about this.
Yeah,
They know that they couldn't get away with a 20% rise
yeah.
uh, this year, so they're going to do
Mm,
it incremental. I think 5% like every year,
yep,
and then it builds its way up to 20%. You know, and
definitely.
they're going to be crafty about it.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
we're not. This is not unique. You know, Man City
Yes,
fans are protesting against ticket prices as well.
yes, they are. They are because
Yeah,
they're starting to see it now. Like it was all good and well, like during the glory years and all the trophies that they brought, but now they're starting to see the difference in the stadiums and that.
and
Um,
a lot of Fulham fans can't afford to go to
yeah.
Craven Cottage, and
And
they're
I'll tell you what, I was
fancy
watching
new stand.
I was watching the Big Six this week, and I was listening to Big Steve talk about it. He was a big Man City fan, on how they're looking for any excuse as well to get rid of the regulars because they can, then resell those tickets. Because obviously now, we've been accused for many years of being a tourist club because you get a big fan base and that people come from all over the place, and City are starting to see that now as well, where it's becoming an attraction and people are coming around from other places.
Yeah, to be honest, I've seen Man City goals go in at the Etihad, and half the
Yeah.
crowd are not even celebrating.
hmm hmm
The home crowd, that is, they're so
Yeah.
obviously tourists.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah. But
um,
unfortunately, that is the nature of the game now, and it is a business, isn't it? So I don't know how you curb that, to be honest.
I tell you what, they're going to do the same at United. They want the
Yeah,
touristy
yeah,
fans in.
absolutely, absolutely. And listen, we've all done the same. We've all been to a game, that wasn't United. And technically speaking, I guess we're visitors and that and tourists when we go
Yeah,
to random games. So
it's,
yeah,
if
it's one of those.
if the United and City owners have their way, there'll be no season ticket holders. That
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't. Eventually, I wouldn't even be surprised. They will try and cut down on those.
Yeah, because the obvious reason for that is that a touristy fan is going to go to the mega store.
Yep,
He's going to buy
yep,
hospitality.
yep,
He's going to buy food and drink.
yep,
Whereas the average season ticket holder from Salford is going
mm,
to buy the season ticket and that is it. He's going to go to a bar somewhere else that's
yep.
nothing to do with United.
Absolutely. It's way more profitable now just to sell singular tickets to a game, you know?
Mhm. Uh, yeah, because whenever they have a chance to, a season ticket holder can't go
Yeah.
to X game,
Yeah.
what they decide to do is sell that for a massive
hmm
inflated
Inflated
price.
fee, yeah, yeah. And they do a lot of nonsense as well. Just throw in a cheap bottle of bubbly and, charge tenfold.
Six 600
Yeah.
quid
Yeah, yeah.
for a burger and a beer and
Yeah. Yeah, just a place to sit and have a meal before the
yeah,
game. Like they just,
yeah.
it's ridiculous. So yeah, but that's also what they're catering towards, to make it an experience for those people who are making, once in a lifetime trips and that, and the ones that, it's a treat more than a weekly thing.
And what Omar Barada has talked about making the Stratford end cheaper than everywhere else in the
Mm,
stadium in order to keep the new local fans.
hmm
Let's
So,
see if that actually,
in order to maintain the atmosphere, I guess.
yeah, let's see if it actually happens. So,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if they keep raising ticket prices 5% every
hmm
year, eventually a lot of the local fans won't be able to afford it anymore.
Yeah, no, listen, it's already ridiculous.
And that's
£66 a
already the
ticket.
case. A lot of the
Yeah, yeah,
fans who go watch AFC United of Manchester every week,
yeah,
one of the reasons is they can't afford to go to Old Trafford anymore.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, I wouldn't be happy about that if we
hmm
were if we're going to have an entire stadium full of tourists,
Yeah.
and it ruins the atmosphere as well. Of course,
Yeah, yeah.
you have to.
Eventually they'll eventually they're gonna start doing that nonsense. Like, do you remember in COVID when we had the fake crowd chants and noises? We had the option to turn on fake audio. that mimic the crowd. Eventually, the way it's all going, we're gonna start having that at stadiums where they just turn on audio from speakers to
And it's
liven it up.
and it's so obviously phony because
Yeah.
I remember during that period that player was having a shot that went wide, and
Hmm.
the audio of the crowd noise was well behind. It was reacting like too late to what was happening on the pitch. Like, it's just yeah, it was so
Ah,
fake, and
yeah.
don't want to go back
To
to
be
that.
fair, at that time, I actually watched it without. I thought it was quite interesting to actually be able to hear what the players say to each other.
Yeah, yeah, most of the time that's what I did, but at the start,
Yeah, yeah.
you had to listen, had the crowd noise on,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah. It's definitely odd when you first take it away, but yeah, I thought that was quite interesting. It added a new element for me. It's
it was great
interesting to
for the
see who's
journalists who
actually
were
vocal.
the journalists who were able to be in the stadium.
Hmm.
They were able to hear who was vocal and who wasn't, and who was a
Yeah,
talker.
yeah, 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 and what kind of things they're yelling at each other, and yeah, it was a new perspective.
And those were the days of Bruno Fernandes, initially arriving at the club, and
Yeah, yeah.
he was as sensational then
I'll
as he
tell you
is
what
now.
COVID reminds me of for us, the revival of Anthony Martial. Wow,
Mm,
COVID Martial was a different beast.
NHS Martial, yeah.
Mm.
But yeah, Bruno Fernandes was phenomenal during that period, as he is
Yeah,
now. Didn't he get in that's full stadium, that full season with no crowds until the very
yeah,
last game? He scored 28 goals in that season.
yeah, yeah. It was ridiculous, ridiculous stuff
Yeah,
for a midfielder as well.
yeah, unbelievable. So he's definitely gonna.
Yeah.
The Shamat Busby Trophy is not going to leave his living room this season, is it? It's just going to keep sitting there on the mantelpiece.
He's not got much competition, has he?
Ahmad could have been competition, but
Yeah, if he could stay fully fit. Yeah, yeah.
sadly the injury has ruined that
Hmm.
prospect. But
Yep.
so onwards and upwards. Manchester City on Sunday, and hopefully we get three
Yep.
points. Do the double over them, make that three wins in a row over them. In fact, that would be great. I could well see it
That would
happening, but
be awesome.
as you say, we have to be wary of
Yeah.
their counter attacks and the
Yeah.
young the young wingers that they have.
Honestly, I'm just hoping we make it out of that game with no injuries and no worries because everything
Yeah,
is about Leon for me.
yeah, yeah, absolutely right. Yeah, in terms of Leon, I just want to get at least a draw away from home and then get them back at Old Trafford. Like,
Yeah, yeah, because it's imperative as well. Because obviously, like you say, in the league, it's pointless this season. But that money that Europe brings in makes such a difference, especially with our finances just being in dire straits.
yeah, massive. Even this the match day revenue as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
And also, I think sponsorship wise as well, I think our contract with Adidas is such that if we're
yeah,
not in Europe, the money drops.
that's true. Yeah, yeah. If we're out of it 2 seasons in a row,
Yeah,
out of the
yeah.
Champions League 2 seasons in a row, something like that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. So yeah,
But
so this is also our best chance of getting back into the Champions League is to win the
the
Europa.
funny thing is, there's going to be no Europa or Conference League
Yeah.
next season. It's either Champions League or nothing.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, basically. And that could have a big impact as well on our summer plans because
Mm,
the opportunity to play in Europe definitely is a big seller to certain players.
absolutely is. I would say if United decide to pursue Victor Osimhen, he
Mm-hmm.
will definitely come to United for you in the Champions League.
Absolutely. And then he would want that as well because he's what, like 26, 27 now. So he hasn't got many years left to waste.
And
So he'll definitely want European football.
that money could be the difference between signing a top striker and not, because
Absolutely.
here are the figures. Manchester City were the worst performing English team in the Champions League this season.
Hmm.
They still pocketed 64 million worth of prize money.
Yeah. Also, I don't know if you've had a chance to look at it, Carl. The reworking of the Club World Cup, there is ridiculous amounts of money up for grabs in that competition.
Yeah. I Did Real Madrid say they weren't playing in it? I wonder if they'll change their minds after they've seen the figures
Oh, they'll
involved.
probably yeah, they absolutely will change their minds because I couldn't believe it. I thought it was yeah, it was phony. I thought it was phony. I thought it was just then I looked into it. Like, there's hundreds of millions up for grabs in that tournament now, which it's ridiculous.
We're a long way off being in that tournament. You literally have
So
to win the
I
Champions
think
League to be in it.
it used to be that yeah, you had to win the Champions League to qualify for European
Yeah.
clubs, but now I think there's some sort of weird coefficiency thing for that as well, in order to qualify, I think.
For anyone who's listening on audio, my eyes are rolling at the.
Yeah, because they've made it like once every 4 years or something.
Mm.
Yeah, but yeah,
And they're
the
going to have a
money's ridiculous.
they're going to be a special transfer window ahead of the tournament as well.
I thought that was utter nonsense. The 1 week pause to the transfer window. Honestly, I don't know what that's going to do. Don't know what that achieves.
So, do they really think the clubs are going to sign a star player just to play in that
Yeah,
tournament? No,
yeah.
honestly.
I don't understand. I don't understand.
But
And
yeah,
also, when you bring it to a close, does that mean what? The paperwork has to stop as well? Like, you can still scout and negotiate and stuff, right? Like, what does it really achieve?
I know clubs can sign players right now if they
Yeah,
want to. They
yeah,
just
yeah.
they can line deals up. In
Yeah,
fact,
it's
it's
just
already
about when they arrive, isn't it? So, yeah, I don't
yeah,
really understand this 1 week pause.
like
It didn't make any sense to me.
Giovanni Quinta has already signed for Chelsea from Sport Lisbon,
Yeah,
and but he will be loaned back for a year. I
yeah,
suppose that
yeah.
might have been the attraction
Hmm.
for
Mm,
Lisbon and maybe the player.
yeah,
If United signed him, he would have been coming straight into the United team, and
yeah.
maybe he wasn't ready for that.
Hmm.
So that transfer
Hmm.
is definitely off now for United.
Oh, that one. Yeah, because there was a little bit of a fallout as well, because apparently he was one of our top targets, wasn't he? But again, I wasn't too fussed personally.
Mm,
I wouldn't have liked, you know, our transfer window to revolve around the future of a 17-year-old. He's a
yeah,
bit young.
I think
So,
we have a
yeah.
lot of those already. We need experience
Yeah,
now, to
yeah,
be
we
honest.
you need to balance it out with experience as well. So I'm not too fussed about it. It was a lot of money as well that Chelsea parted with. I think 40, 50 million euros.
Yeah, no, I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I was just thinking earlier on, like we've signed a lot of young players in different positions,
Hmm.
and I like that to an extent. But if
Yeah.
there's having the lessons from Hoyland and Xerxes,
Hmm.
are that in terms of the striker number nine, I would rather
Hmm.
if there's one position on the pitch I want to sign an
Yep.
experienced player, it is the number
Yeah.
nine. An
Hmm.
experienced player. He has a track record of scoring goals.
Yep. Yeah,
Liam
because
Del
that is the big difference, isn't it? Because that's, what can change
I-
draws into
yeah,
victories and
yeah,
defeats into draws.
especially at a big club because a developing striker coming into a big club where he's the
Yeah.
first choice number nine,
Yeah, yeah.
he's going to sink or swim, and
Yeah.
and
And the thing
unfortunately,
is, you can have one project striker, but you can't have two inexperienced
yeah,
young strikers.
I wouldn't mind Hoyland coming in if Harry Kane come in at the same time,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
uh, you can't bring in a club like United or Arsenal,
Hmm.
City, Liverpool, Real
Yeah.
Madrid,
And I think we
Barcelona,
said it at the time as well.
Bayern Munich.
And I think we said it at the time as well, Carl. I don't think either of us could believe the actual fee that was paid for Hoyland.
Yeah, it was,
That was the big issue. Like, because at the time when we first discussed the links, we thought he was going to be probably what, around 30 million.
yeah, it was obscene amount of money for a
It
player.
was
Not only was he
insane.
not only was he young, but he hadn't
Insane.
had a record of scoring goals in Serie
Yeah,
A.
that's what I mean. He had what, like 9 goals or something.
And what do we do the
Yeah,
following summer? Bring in another young striker from Serie A
yeah,
who doesn't have a
yeah.
record of scoring goals
Who
either.
doesn't score goals? Who had his best ever season where he scored 12?
Yeah.
So, and who's a self-proclaimed 9.5?
And this is exactly why I know it's slightly different because he plays in the Premier
Yeah.
League currently. This is another reason why I would not want to sign Liam Delop,
Mm.
because I think again he's in that young bracket,
Yeah.
and you know,
I think the only way a young striker makes sense is if you get rid of one of the guys we already have. Like you need experience.
yeah, we the time is right now for a Osimhen or a Gyökeres or whatever.
Yeah.
I think we need a proven striker. It doesn't have to be someone who's over 25 or someone who's
Hmm.
30. It can be a 22-year-old
Yeah.
who scored a lot of goals, like Benjamin
Hmm.
Sesko, for
Yeah.
example. But we
Yeah.
need
Yeah.
we need proven
Definitely.
goals now. Um,
Definitely. And the
look,
thing is, there's going to be a lot of competition this summer as well. There's a fair few clubs looking for
oh,
strikers.
absolutely, yeah.
I know
Arsenal being
Arsenal
one of
will
them.
be there.
Um, But there is a lot of strikers going around though, so
Yeah.
all
Because I know
club.
Arsenal had the deadline day bid for
But
Ollie Watkins rejected, so they've got the money as well for a striker. So
the
I can see them going all out for a big one.
the last thing that I want next season is to be in a position where we've got Hoyland, Xerxes, and Liam Delap, and none of them are scoring
Yeah,
goals, and we're like, what the
yeah,
hell are we
yeah.
doing?
Oh, and then there's another issue as well, Carl, that I just remembered that's happened in the last couple of weeks. Have you ever heard of a get out clause in an obligation?
No, no, I haven't. No.
Neither have I. And obviously, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jadon Sancho. There is a chance that they could cancel it for £5 million and he could be back with us.
So what was the point of
I've
the obligation then? It wasn't an
Yeah,
obligation.
I don't understand. Surely, if that's the case, then you make that um the fee so much so that it's better for them to just sign him. No, like the compensation, I think should have been like 15 to 20 million if you want to cancel it. It's where they think, you know what, we might as well just sign him for the extra
It's
five.
it's almost enticing Chelsea to cancel it, you know.
Exactly, yeah. Because obviously, again, he's done the same thing there, in it. There's been flashes, but you know, it's winded down, so it looks as if he might come back, and then that's another issue. Because obviously, we haven't actually permanently sorted out any of the issues that we have. Obviously, Anthony, he's living his best life in Betis. I've been watching some highlights as well. He's doing well. He loves it there. There was pictures of him on the timeline the other day, waving the flag around. But now we just need to, you know, get Betis to actually make a bid. Rashi as well. So that one's not sorted. So there's so many things to do. The last thing we need is for Sancho to come back as well, and he's on those ridiculous wages as well for us.
But according to the Athletic, Chelsea still
Mm.
intend on signing him.
Oh, I
So
hope so. I bloody well hope so because if that fails and they send him back, I don't know where he goes. I don't know who comes in for him. You'd probably have to loan him out again, and probably to like Germany, where they don't really, you know, part with the cash like that
there's
unless
a-
you're buying.
there's already talk about Dortmund again.
Yeah, yeah. See, it's going to be like a Leipzig or a Dortmund, and it's going to be a loan probably, you know.
But the
So
good
I
news is,
really hope. Yeah,
he has 1 year left on his United contracts. Just one.
yeah. Ah, see, is that even good news? Because I'd rather just cash the 25 and Chelsea just buy him. Because, you know, if we have to load him out for that last year, then we're not going to get anything for him, are we? It's going to be one of those
Although
Pogba
he
type
is,
situations.
I know he's been poor for Chelsea lately, but Maresca
Yeah,
does like him, I believe.
yeah.
However, he could be overruled by the
Mm-hmm.
hierarchy.
Mm.
Um, I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
if we come to it at all, they might just sign him for the 25 million.
yeah. The only bridge he needs to cross is the Stamford Bridge.
But yeah. But in terms of Anthony, there's absolutely no way that Real Betis are going to be able to afford him in the summer,
Yeah,
unfortunately.
oh, I'll tell you what, I didn't think they could afford his wages, and you know, it came as a surprise to me the amount that they're actually covering, which works
Mm.
out to be about around
You-
160, 170 grand a week out of the 200. So
And
it took me by surprise because Isco was their highest paid before he went on loan, but he's actually you know, having a really good spell. I think he feels at home there. I don't know what kind of fee they could afford, but surely there's this deal to be struck.
Isco has already said that we need to have a whip round
Mm,
to
mm,
buy Anthony in the summer. So he definitely wants him to stay. But
yeah.
I don't know. To me, the United need 32 million for him to avoid a
Yeah.
loss on the PSR calculator.
Hmm.
32 million plus those wages. There's only three teams in Spain that can afford that.
Yeah. Yeah. You'd to reach 32 million for him, you'd need add-ons as well. I don't think anybody pays that up front.
Hmm. Definitely. And what about when Radcliffe's saying about all the players that we still owe money on? He named
Yeah. It's insane, isn't it? So that's why I'm not mad at
Sancho
him.
as well. Even Sancho.
Yeah. I'm not mad at him because he's come in and, you know, like he was probably taken aback as well by the utter shambles on how we've been run. Like when he was taking a
Yeah.
look at the books.
We've been taking credit out on all these players we've been
Yeah.
buying. And
Hmm.
all the players he named,
Yep.
they're not been successful signings, to say the least.
Not in the slightest.
Mm.
And some of them at the time as well, we said like, you know, this is ridiculous. Like the wages they've been put on, the fee that we paid for them. So, it's all, yeah, all the chickens are coming home to roost now, unfortunately. So I understand some of the draconian measures.
Was Casemiro, Hoyland, Anthony, Sancho, and Onana, I think.
Yeah,
Onana. We're still paying for him. Oh,
still
that's
paying for
depressing.
Anana. I mean, we continue to pay for him in multiple ways, not just in wages.
Here's a question. Now that he's fit again, do you think
Yeah.
Bayindir will be reinstalled as the Europa League goalkeeper?
Oh, that is an interesting one. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, I don't see why not.
Please,
Uh,
please, please.
I don't see why not. I mean, yeah, the position's definitely up for grabs. It's one of those ones, isn't it? Um, I'll tell you what, at the weekend I was watching the Inter Milan highlights, and Jan Sommer pulled out one or two brilliant saves, and they signed him to replace Onana for about £6 million.
They pull their pants down. Yeah,
Yeah. Onana was a free agent, by the way, just 12 months before we signed him.
I know. Wasn't he? Wasn't
he
he?
he had a drugs ban. He had a
Yeah,
drugs ban,
that's
and he
it.
was
Yeah.
coming back from that, so his stock was low. So if they wanted to, if they did their due diligence, even if they wanted to take a chance, they could have got him as the number two to De Gea, and then just seen how he got on, or even loaned him out themselves. But we go in after the season he's had, after the Champions League final that everyone around the world saw, and they thought he was the second coming of you know Edison and that.
I reckon in the Inter Milan boardroom they're still having parties celebrating that transfer.
Oh, absolutely. Um, yeah, there are a few keepers that I like the look of as well around Europe, but again, I think the money is an issue, so we're probably just stuck for the time being.
Mm, uh,
I've been
yeah,
very impressed with the Dortmund goalkeeper. He's the Switzerland number two. He's still behind Jan Sommer for the national team, but he's very good. But he'll probably be very, very expensive. This guy called Gregor Kobel.
yeah. We were going to have to get James Trafford or a goalkeeper that's on a free or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, it's going to be one of those, isn't it? Yeah. Unless we unearth a gem. One of the gems that we looked at, young Japanese goalkeeper Suzuki, he's doing quite well now at Parma. His value's gone up as
Oh
well.
yes, yes, I remember him. Yeah.
Yeah, because at the time we were interested. I mean, he would have been number two, but we could have got him for around 5 million, I think. But
And what
I'm
about?
sure they'll
Yeah, I think
go ahead.
that was the right move for him. I don't think him
Yeah,
coming
yeah.
in
No,
coming.
same. I think it was the right move for his development because had he come to us, he would have just sat on the bench, really.
Yeah, yeah, and if he came in and made a mistake, then that
Yeah,
might have been the end of him. So
definitely.
uh, Lunin, the Real Madrid sub keeper, could he be an option?
I like him. I like
Yeah.
him. Yeah, do you know what? Because he's a number two there, and he's good enough to be a number one in a whole host of other places.
I mean, he's already played in a successful Champions League final. That's a lot of experience for a number two goalkeeper. So
Yeah, yeah.
I,
Yeah, I've heard some rumors that Galatasaray might be interested in him. I think he can play at a higher level personally.
that's yeah, yeah. I would agree.
I
Not
think
no disrespect or anything,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah. I think he can play at a higher level. I think he can play at one of the top leagues. He's definitely one that I would look at. I'll
yeah, I
tell you
think you're
what,
right.
bloody Liverpool are sport for choice for keepers. Kelleher is probably the best number two in the league. He could go to another club and play. Because of the
Mhm.
rivalry, I don't think we're in the running, but I think he's quite a good goalkeeper.
I remember we used to say that about Romero, best number two in the league.
Yeah, yeah.
But sadly, we don't even have a good number one anymore. Um,
and and then Liverpool are stacked as well because they've signed another guy as well. They've signed a Georgian goalkeeper as well, isn't it? So he's coming in. So I wonder what's going to happen to Allison.
mm, uh, I think Kevin Gallagher could end up going to another big club at the end of the
Yeah, yeah,
season.
yeah. Gallagher could definitely play for a Premier League team. You'll be a number one in a whole host of teams.
Yeah, Chelsea probably be interested in a goalkeeper this summer, I
Yeah,
think,
for like yeah, that'll be what like the 10th keeper on their books.
because Sanchez he doesn't fill me full of any confidence when I
No,
watch him.
no, no. But yeah, they've had a terrible time of it with keepers, haven't they? Philip Jorgensen had that horrible mistake. Um, Petrovic, I actually thought was decent last season, but he's gone out on loan this year. Kepa's still on their books. Yeah, it's crazy.
Okay, we shall leave it there. If everyone can please like the video if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the podcast while you're watching on YouTube, you're listening on Apple or Spotify, and please also drop a comment if you like. And I shall see you again next time, Rush.
Yeah, yeah. Pleasure as always.